I'm Alex, 26, and for most of my life, I've been the quiet one in the family. The one who didn't cause drama, who kept their head down, who paid their bills and stayed out of people's business. I wasn't the golden child. That title went to my older brother, Jeremy, 28, loud, charming, always with a fresh story about how someone else messed him over. And somehow, Mom and Dad always bought it. They didn't see the lies. Or maybe they just didn't want to. I moved back home after college to help out when Dad's health got shaky. Paid part of the mortgage, handled groceries, took him to appointments. It was never framed as a favor, just what I thought family did. I didn't even think twice when they handed Jeremy the master bedroom because, and I quote, "He's going through a lot right now." That lot turned out to be credit card debt and a failed startup that he blamed on untrustworthy partners. Still, I kept to myself, worked remotely, helped where I could, cooked dinners sometimes when Mom was too tired, paid utilities when bills slipped through the cracks. Nobody asked me to. I just did. Because it was home. Because it was them. But things started shifting around last Christmas. Jeremy had this new girlfriend, Kayla. Polished, smile that doesn't reach her eyes type. The kind who compliments your shirt then says it looks cheap. She moved in by New Year's. I wasn't asked. Just came home one day and her stuff was in the bathroom next to mine. She took one look at my room, small, clean, barely decorated, and said, "Oh, humble vibes. Cute." I bit my tongue. It got worse. Slowly, like a dripping faucet that turns into a flood. She started hinting that I made things awkward when they had friends over. That I was too intense when I reminded them to clean up after parties. That I stared too much when they got loud during my work calls. Jeremy jumped on it. Called me a buzzkill. Said I needed to relax. Mom told me to try being more understanding. Jeremy's had a hard year. Dad, he just nodded along. One Sunday, I came home from grabbing groceries to find all my stuff from the bathroom dumped in a box outside my room. No warning, no note, just my razor, shampoo, and the towel my grandma gave me for graduation shoved between crumpled toilet paper rolls. I walked into the living room, box in hand. Kayla looked up from the couch and said, "Oh, that? I just thought it'd be easier if we had one bathroom. You know, couple privacy and all." Jeremy snickered. "Yeah, man. Chill. Use the one downstairs like a normal guest." A guest? I had lived there for 4 years. I looked at my parents. Mom didn't make eye contact. Dad turned the TV up. I said nothing. Just walked downstairs and set my stuff in the tiny, damp guest bathroom. No mirror. Flickering light. Cold tiles. I stared at my reflection in the window and felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Just a kind of stillness, like something in me had gone quiet. The final straw wasn't even dramatic. That's the part that stings. It was a Tuesday night. I was heating leftovers when Jeremy walked in and said, casually, "You know, nobody wants you around anyway." He didn't even raise his voice. Just dropped it like a passing comment. I turned to Dad, who was wiping his hands at the sink. He didn't look at me. Just muttered, "Maybe it's for the best." That was it. No shouting. No throwing things. No sobbing. I put the lid on my container, grabbed my laptop from the kitchen counter, and walked upstairs. I packed what I needed in a backpack, just enough to last a few days. My birth certificate, my passport, a few clothes, laptop. I unplugged the Wi-Fi booster from my room, left the extension cord they always used for movie nights, and stepped outside without a word. I didn't even slam the door, just closed it gently behind me and walked into the night air. I stayed at a friend's spare room that night. Ben, a guy I used to go to school with. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a pillow and said, "Take the bed. I'll crash on the couch." I barely slept. My brain was buzzing, but not with regret. It was peace. A strange kind of peace. Like I'd been holding my breath for 4 years and finally exhaled. But this morning, that peace cracked. 14 missed calls. 6 voicemails. The first few were from Mom. "Honey, we didn't mean it like that. Call us back, please." The third was Jeremy, slurring, probably drunk. "Bro, don't be so sensitive. It was a joke. You're always so dramatic." Then one from Dad. Short. Hoarse. "Call home. Now." I didn't. I scrolled instead. Facebook. Instagram. Quiet. Until I opened the family group chat. Dozens of unread messages. Photos of the living room. Trashed. A shattered vase. The coffee table flipped. Then the message from Mom that made my chest tighten. "Alex, Please come home. Something happened. We need you. That's when I noticed the last notification. A text from Kayla. Just 3 words. This is on you. And suddenly, I wasn't breathing again. I stared at the screen for a long time. The message from Kayla just sat there, taunting, cold, accusatory. This is on you. What did she mean? What happened? My mind started racing through possibilities. Did someone get hurt? Did Dad's health take a turn? Was it a bluff to reel me back in? The images in the group chat replayed like a slideshow in my head. Broken vase, flipped furniture, someone's jacket stained with what looked like wine or something darker. I tapped on the last photo. Blurry, taken in a rush. But I recognized the corner of my old laptop, the one I left behind, smashed on the floor next to a cracked frame of our last family photo. My face was cut clean out of it. Ben walked in holding a mug of coffee. You okay, man? I nodded automatically, phone still in my hand. He glanced down and frowned. Is that your mom? I didn't respond. Just shoved the phone into my pocket and got up. I needed air. Outside, the morning sun was already sharp and hot, but I barely felt it. Every step down the sidewalk felt heavier. I didn't want to go back. Every instinct told me to stay away. But the part of me that still remembered family dinners and Sunday cartoons and helping Dad rake leaves in the fall, it pulled. Hard. I didn't go straight to the house. I walked past it, 3 blocks down, to the gas station where Mr. Larson still worked. He'd known me since I was a kid. Used to sneak me candy bars when Mom wasn't looking. I bought a bottled tea I didn't want just for the excuse. He looked up, recognized me instantly, and gave a warm, tired smile. Hey, Alex. Haven't seen you in a bit. Yeah, I said. Been staying at a friend's. His smile faded a little. Rough night last night. I blinked. You heard something? He leaned in slightly. The cops were at your place around 2 a.m. Something about a noise complaint. Lot of shouting. Looked like somebody threw a fit. I felt my throat tighten. Anyone hurt? Didn't look like it. But your dad was sitting on the porch when they left. Alone. He looked. I don't know. Oh, Mr. Larson sighed. Older than I've ever seen him. I thanked him and left without the tea. Back at Ben's place, I finally opened the rest of the voicemails. The 6th one was the one that changed everything. Alex, it's Mom. I know you're upset. I know we haven't been fair. But please, you need to come home. Your father, he's not doing well. And Jeremy, he and Kayla had a fight last night. Things got out of hand. He said things. Did things. Kayla's gone. Just gone. She packed and left. Jeremy's been drinking. And I don't know how to handle this. You were always the calm one. Please, just come home. Please. She was crying by the end of it. But I didn't feel sympathy. Not yet. What I felt was a strange mixture of curiosity and suspicion. They didn't want me around. Until suddenly they needed a cleanup crew. A therapist. A crutch. I sat down and opened my laptop. I hadn't told anyone. But before I left, I backed up everything. Years of bank statements. Receipts. Payments I'd made for the house. The mortgage company's login, where my name was still listed as a co-signer. Screenshots of group chats where I was asked to foot the electric bill just this one time. I had files. Proof. Quiet things I'd kept for no reason other than habit. But now, I realized I had leverage. I messaged my old landlord and asked if his studio apartment was still available. It was. I paid the deposit online. Then I opened a blank email. Subject line, regarding the mortgage and utilities. I attached a few documents. Wrote a short, clinical note about transferring all financial responsibility to the primary owners. Added the payment dates I was withdrawing support effective immediately. Then I sent it to my parents' shared email. No dramatic message. No guilt trip. Just the facts. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Mom again. I didn't answer. 2 minutes after that, Dad. Then Jeremy. This time, I answered. He didn't say hello. Instead, he snapped. What is wrong with you? You think now's the time to pull this? After everything that happened? I didn't flinch. I think it's the perfect time. He cursed under his breath, then hissed. We needed you. And you bailed. Just like always. That got me. I felt something hot rise in my chest, but I held it down. You kicked me out, Jeremy. Or did you forget? Nobody wants you around, remember? He was silent. Then, I didn't mean it. Doesn't matter. You said it. And Dad agreed. More silence. I could hear his breathing, fast and shallow. Finally, he muttered, Kayla's threatening to press charges. I raised an eyebrow. For what? She said I shoved her. I didn't. I just grabbed her arm. She was going to take the car, my car. I told her she couldn't just leave. I didn't respond. Just let the silence stretch. You coming home or what? He asked, voice tight. And that's when I knew I wasn't. Not now. Maybe not ever. But before I could respond, I heard something in the background of the call. A door slamming. Then Mom shouting something. Then a crash. Jeremy swore, and the line went dead. I stared at my phone. Then I got the text. From Dad. Come home. Now. I'll explain everything. And that's when I saw it. An email notification. From the mortgage company. Subject, final notice. Loan status updated. I clicked it open. And my heart dropped. Because the house was in my name. Solely. And now? The payments had stopped. I stared at the email, my chest tightening with every line I read. It didn't make sense. The house is solely in your name, Alexander Kane, following the automatic transfer filed under Clause 7B of the loan agreement. That clause, I vaguely remembered it. Something about payment continuity and primary financial contributors being bumped into sole ownership if others defaulted. At the time, it sounded like boring legal fluff. But I'd been the only one consistently paying anything for the last few years. Mortgage, utilities, even the new water heater 2 winters ago. It wasn't a malicious setup, not even intentional. But I'd been the only name on the paperwork that mattered, and with no other consistent contributor, the system had defaulted to me. Without warning, without anyone noticing until now. Which meant legally, the house was mine. My phone buzzed again. Another call from Mom. I declined. I needed to think. I pulled up the full loan account portal. My name, my email, my mailing address for official notices. I clicked over to the transaction history. Yep, all the payments from my checking account. The system must have flagged me months ago. It had been a slow transition. Paperwork shifting in the background while they handed over the master bedroom to Jeremy and dumped my toiletries in a box. They'd made me feel like a ghost in that house. An inconvenience. A squatter. And now? Now I was the legal owner. I sat back in the chair, stunned. Not triumphant. Not yet. Just hollow. Like I'd stumbled into the final scene of a play I didn't realize I was starring in. A knock at the door jolted me. Ben peeked in. You good? I turned the laptop toward him. He read the email once. Then again. His eyes widened. Wait. That's your house now. Apparently. Ben let out a low whistle. Dude. That's huge. Are you going to tell them? I don't think I need to. Not yet. Then what do you want to do? That was the question, wasn't it? I wasn't the revenge type. Never had been. But this wasn't about revenge. This was about truth. Ownership. Respect. I didn't want to humiliate them. I just wanted them to see me. To understand that I wasn't a doormat they could wipe their feet on when it was convenient. I opened my email again and started typing a message, not to my family, but to a real estate attorney a friend had recommended months ago, back when I was considering buying my own place. I explained the situation, attached the documents, and asked for guidance on the legal standing. Then I sent a second message to the mortgage company. Please confirm full transfer of ownership and next steps for title update. Ben was quiet across the room. Then he asked, what happens if you go back? I thought about it. About walking in through the front door while Jeremy lounged on my couch, drinking my whiskey, rolling his eyes at the guy paying the bills. About Dad barely looking up, acting like I was a guest in a place I'd kept afloat. About Mom pleading now only because the walls were caving in. Then they'll try to guilt me into staying, I said, to fix what they broke. I stood up, finally calm, finally clear. I think it's time they learn what being on their own really means. Ben nodded. Need backup? Maybe. Let's see how far they push. A few hours later, I drove back. Not to stay, just to see. The street was quiet. No police cars. No shattered windows. Just the house. My house. The one with the flaking blue shutters and crooked porch light I'd fixed twice. I parked across the street and watched for a few minutes. Then the front door opened. Jeremy stepped out, phone pressed to his ear, pacing. He looked older. Disheveled. The same gray hoodie from yesterday, but now stained. He wasn't yelling like usual. He looked nervous. He hung up and sat on the steps with his head in his hands. Then he spotted me. I didn't wave. Just stepped out of the car and crossed the street. His expression shifted instantly. Relief, anger, guilt, all mashed into one. About time, he muttered. I stopped at the bottom of the steps. You still think nobody wants me around? Jeremy looked away. I was drunk. You were honest. He didn't respond. The front door creaked open again, and Dad stepped out. His face looked gray, drawn, and when he saw me, he tried to straighten up, to look stronger than he was. "You got our messages," he said quietly. "I did." "Then why haven't you?" "Because I'm not your safety net anymore." He frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" I took out my phone and opened the email. Turned the screen toward him. Let him read the subject line. His lips moved silently. Then he read it aloud. "Full ownership transfer confirmed." He looked up at me, confused. Then, slowly, realization hit. "You're lying." "I'm not." Jeremy stood up. "That's not possible. That's our house." I shook my head. "No. It was my payments. My name. My responsibility. And now? It's my house." Silence. Thick and heavy. Then Mom's voice drifted from inside. "Who's out there?" She appeared at the door, apron still on, like she'd been baking. Her face crumpled the moment she saw me. "Alex, thank God. Please, come in. Let's talk." "No." She blinked. "I'm not stepping foot in that house until we've cleared some things up." Dad stepped forward, stern again. "Don't pull this, Alex. You think you can just walk away and come back swinging?" I met his gaze. Steady. Calm. I didn't walk away. I was pushed. And that's when Jeremy lost it. "You think you're better than us just because you make a little money? You think owning the house makes you king now?" I didn't answer. Because I wasn't here for a fight. I was here to watch the truth sink in. And it was sinking fast. Jeremy's voice cracked as he spat. "You wouldn't dare kick us out." I gave him a long, measured look. And before I could respond, Mom whispered from behind him, voice shaking. "Please, tell me you're not going to." But I didn't answer. Because I wasn't sure yet. Because the real decision was still coming. I let the silence sit. Heavy. Uncomfortable. No one moved. Jeremy's jaw clenched, fists balled up like a kid caught in the act, ready to swing, but with nothing left to hit. My father looked at me with disbelief, like I'd betrayed him, as if I was the one who had upended everything. And my mother, she just looked tired, like years of denial and appeasement had finally caught up to her. She was the first to break the silence. "Alex, this can't be right. You wouldn't do this. We're family." Family. That word hit me like a slap. Not because it hurt, but because it felt so empty coming from her. After years of being overlooked, dismissed, treated like a tenant in my own home, they wanted to fall back on that word. Family. As if it was a magic eraser for everything they had done. I pulled a folded piece of paper from my back pocket and handed it to my father. He hesitated before taking it, his eyes scanning the document. It was a notice, courtesy of the attorney I'd hired that morning. Not an eviction. Not yet. Just a formal notification that the legal ownership of the property had changed and that I would be reviewing all household arrangements moving forward, including occupancy. "Think of it as a line in the sand," I said. "I'm not throwing anyone out. But things are going to change." Jeremy scoffed. "You don't get to call the shots. This is Dad's house. Always has been." Dad didn't speak. He just kept staring at the paper, his hands trembling slightly. Whether it was from anger or realization, I couldn't tell. "You're right," I said quietly, looking at Jeremy. It was his house, but he let me pay for it. Every month. When he was behind. When the water was shut off for 2 days and nobody noticed except me. When the fridge broke and I covered the replacement. When I was the one who signed the refinancing documents you didn't bother to read. I turned back to my father. "I didn't take anything from you. You gave it away. Piece by piece. Month after month." He didn't argue. He didn't even look at me. "Jeremy, though, wasn't done. Where are we supposed to go, huh? You expect us to just pack up and leave? Kayla's gone, my business tanked, I've got nothing." "And whose fault is that?" I asked. "I didn't wreck your business. I didn't ruin your relationships. I didn't spend every chance I got tearing down the one person in this house who kept it from falling apart." He looked at me like he wanted to lunge. But he didn't move. Because he knew. Deep down, he knew. I took a step up the porch. Mom stepped aside instinctively. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, steady. "You have 30 days. I'll give you that much. I'll cover utilities for one final month. After that, the house will be reassessed. If you want to stay, you pay rent, fair market value. Lease terms. In writing. If not, you leave. And if anyone tries to trash it like last night again, you'll be dealing with more than a letter next time." Dad finally looked up. His voice was hoarse. "You're serious. Dead serious." Mom sat down on the bench by the door, her hands in her lap. She looked like a balloon deflating. I don't even know who you are anymore. I looked at her for a long time. I'm the same person I've always been. The difference is, now you see me. The air between us was thick. For a moment, I felt the weight of it all. The memories, the dinners, the arguments behind closed doors, the nights I stayed up crunching numbers to make sure the electricity wouldn't get cut again. I felt sadness, sure, but I didn't feel guilt. Not anymore. Jeremy slammed the screen door as he went back inside, muttering something under his breath. Mom didn't follow him. She just stared at the ground like it might open up and swallow her. Dad folded the paper slowly and tucked it into his back pocket. 30 days? He asked, not looking at me. 30, I said. Unless you want to negotiate something now. He shook his head. We'll talk later. I'll be around. With that, I turned and walked back to my car. I didn't slam the door. I didn't drive off fast. I just started the engine, let it hum quietly, and pulled away from the curb like it was any other day. But inside, something had shifted. Something permanent. Later that evening, I got a text from Mom. We're going to talk. I want to understand. I'm sorry. It wasn't much. But it was more than I ever expected. Jeremy didn't message. He wouldn't. I figured he'd try to rally support from cousins or extended family. He'd paint himself the victim, call me cold, selfish, ungrateful. That was fine. Let him talk. I had no interest in defending myself anymore. The truth didn't need an audience. By the end of the week, I'd hired a property manager to oversee the transition. I wanted everything documented, official, no backroom promises or vague agreements. I started looking for a new place for myself, even though technically I could have moved back in. But I didn't want to. That house was never really a home. It was a test I passed in silence, year after year, until it finally became mine. A month later, Mom moved into a small rental closer to her sister. She left me a note on the kitchen counter the day she left. I hope one day you can forgive us. We didn't see what you were carrying, but I see it now. Jeremy took longer. He stayed until the last possible day, dragging his feet, avoiding eye contact when I showed up to do a walkthrough. He didn't say goodbye, just tossed me the keys and walked out the door without looking back. I stood in the doorway, watching him disappear down the street with a single duffel bag slung over his shoulder. For a long moment, I just stood there in the empty living room. No furniture, no noise, just the faint echo of memories in the walls. I closed my eyes and exhaled. For the first time in years, I felt free. Free from guilt. Free from obligation. Free from the weight of pretending I didn't matter. That house, for all its flaws and years of pain, was now mine. And in that silence, I made a quiet promise to myself. I will never let myself be invisible again. And I kept that promise.